2 check. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Looks good. I'm gonna hope that it's good because I'm not opening Audacity. Is that still recording? Check your mic again.
Check.
Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah. I just reported some kind of system error, but it didn't tell me what it's doing. I don't know. That's weird. Shit. I don't. What episode is this? 20? Are we on 26 or 27?
Dude, I don't know.
Let's see. This is
We're on more than people will ever listen to.
for show. This is the PIBA EP 026. Episode 026 of the Peebs. I am, if I ignore the shit out of everybody, it's because I'm working on my Raspberry Pi for the first time in forever. I hadn't fucked around with this thing in a long time.
The existing one? I mean, the one that you've already set up?
Yeah, I had Kodi on it so I could steal movies, and I had RetroPie on it so I could steal video games. And now I've taken off. I've erased my entire SD card. I just took out the whole thing and I set up because I wanted to update my RetroPie install. Not only has Raspbian moved from Debian Jessie to Debian Stretch, which is the latest release of Debian. It could do it automatically. It could do an automatic update, but it recommended to just do it manually. So I went ahead and just flushed my card out. I did a whole, just removed all the partitions from it. I flashed a brand new pre-compiled RetroPie image onto my flash card, onto my SD card, sorry, and threw it back in and just started over from scratch like that.
No, is that like formatting it, or is that just an antiquated term for what?
No, yeah, it's not quite like format. Well, it's a little bit like formatting it. So typically when you format a drive, you're just opening up free space that's formatted in a particular file system that you can then write files to. Whereas what I did is I removed everything, like file system and everything, from my disk and just wrote data straight to, like when you copy an image, when you flash an image to a card, that image contains the file system and everything. So it just does a direct one-to-one copy of that image from that file to that card. So, and then so now it's a 16 gigabyte card. You've written this 2 gigabyte image to it. The first time you boot it up, Raspbian's going to say, they have it pre-built to check, and okay, there's all this free space on this disk. We're going to expand this file system. So now the core of what you just installed is still here, and we're going to expand to eat up all this free space too. So now this free space is part of the file system. You can write files to that empty space now as well. So it's basically like a format, but it's a little more direct than that. It comes with a preset instructions and all that stuff. It's basically like kind of what Dell does when they ship out a zillion computers. They just have one image that they're writing to all of these hard drives and shipping them out with those computers.
Oh, okay. See, I forgot that, Linux, it seems to me at least that you do step one. I mean, normally the step one and all the behind the scenes shit for other commercial operating systems, like that stuff's already done. Oh, wait a second. We're not talking about Linux. This is Pi,
which runs on Linux. This version of RetroPie, RetroPie does. It comes pre-built with Debian Linux, which is just another flavor of a Linux distro.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's still you still need that technical knowledge which you otherwise wouldn't need for another operating system.
Kinda, sorta. It's still fairly basic. It's not anything crazy. It's kind of like it's almost like unzipping a WinRAR file or something like that. You know, even a zip file, pretty much. It's almost akin to that. But, you know, I guess it does take a fair amount of confidence in what you're doing so that, you know, at least you know what you're doing. You know, even if it's a simple task, you know that you're doing it correctly. You know, it seems like in the computer world or in the technology world, a lack of confidence is kind of the main factor in why a lot of people have this technological barrier. I found that out just through years of computer repair and stuff like that. People just couldn't do simple tasks because they thought they were so daunting. I mean, it literally like just things are a double click away most of the time. But
Yeah, if most people figured out how to use fucking Google, you know, 70% of the IT industry would go.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's obviously a figure that I pulled out of my ass, but I handled a lot of things for my company that, you know, if I didn't have the wherewithal to look up first, would have paid. And I know I said it before, we'd have paid money to have someone, you know, figure something out.
Yeah, and you know that's maybe half the reason why I got out of IT is because I hated charging people for stupid stuff. I mean, yeah, you could make good money doing it, but I couldn't get paid to do stupid stuff like that all the time, you know? I just, not only like from a morality standpoint, but just from like my brain is rotting standpoint. Like, just
what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of how I ended up feeling about it after, you know, a few years in it, so. But yeah, so far it's going well. So I just, right now I'm updating because my scraper isn't working. The scraper that's in Emulation Station. So, and I'm not exactly sure the chain of command here. It seems like, whoops. Hey, let me fix this before it makes a bunch of noise and shit. Okay. My little shitty windscreen fell off. So it seems like, so Debian Stretch is the underlying operating system. You've got your Linux kernel with Debian Stretch, and which is, I guess, some sort of modified Linux kernel, I guess is the right terminology there. And I guess Emulation Station kind of runs on top of that somehow or another. And then that boots RetroPie, which is the actual GUI. That seems to be the GUI for all of the emulators. Because now I can just log in now that I've got my Pi online, I just log in through a network share, just like you would any sort of like Windows network folder. And I just drop files into my ROMs folders, and I reboot Emulation Station, which is just a menu setting inside RetroPie. And when it boots back up, here's all my ROMs. And now I can run a scraper that will search all of my ROMs and update all the metadata, screenshots, all that cool shit. But what's going on right now is I've just done a clean install. I put ROMs on here and I tried to scrape it. Scraping wasn't working. I took to Google. I need to update, even though I've just done a clean install of the latest image. It's not necessarily the latest updated image. So now I just run an update just like I would on my Ubuntu computer, you know, just sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade, and it downloads everything I need, installs everything I need, and it should work after this update. This is a huge update. This has been going for a good 15 minutes now, which is, I mean, fairly long for a Linux update as long as you stay up to date, but I don't know when this particular build was created. I didn't really check all that.
How large is the update file? Do you know?
It told me when it was done, it was going to free up I think it said 7 megabytes. I just kind of glanced at it. So,
yes, and sorry, I don't mean to keep asking questions. How much total space are you talking about having on?
the system image only took up about 2 gigs. And I've got a 16 gig micro SD card in my Pi. And you can add more storage just with a USB flash drive. I think you just write a folder called RetroPie /ROMs, and then you stick your ROMs in folders inside of that, I believe. Like GBA, GBC, N64, SNES, stuff like that. And you stick your ROMs inside of that. And that's how you can increase your storage. You can build on your internal storage with just flash drives and stuff, external hard drives.
Building an empire.
With the Linux and RetroPie, you mean?
Yeah, man, that's just so cool. Just building, you know, I don't know, when you built this computer, I don't know, it's like we already had the playground here. I just put, you know, the swings. I've been putting the swing sets and stuff on it, you know, ever since you built it. But with Linux, it seems like it's half the fun is building the place to put the playground on, you know.
I'd say so, yeah. And it's fun. You know, setting up all this shit and getting it all together. I mean, you know, almost like with anything, other people have done the real hard work, and you're just searching up what the fuck they did and sticking it on top.
And you still learn so much doing stuff like that.
You do. I mean, that's how I learned, you know, the inner workings of Windows is just watching porn for fucking 2 decades and downloading pirated software and games for 2 decades and getting viruses off my shit. And then finally, just, you know, eventually you catch on to, oh, okay, you know, ad blocker for sure takes care of a good 90% of your viruses. And then the other 10% is just don't open stupid emails, don't click stupid links. But so I got 2 Super NES controllers off of Amazon. Oh, yeah. So I was also going to say, so my 2 Super NES controllers, my Raspberry Pi, I can bundle these things up and they'll fit in the 3 objects there will pretty much fit in the palm of my hand. I can carry them pretty much anywhere with me. I've got this tiny little shoulder bag I throw shit in, and I can just toss them in there, take them to a friend's house, plug it in, fucking play some games. You know, it's got 4 built-in USB ports. I've got a mini keyboard. Let's see, this thing is it's a RII Mini X1 is this particular model. I've had this thing for a couple of years. It's a miniature keyboard, like a full-on fucking keyboard with a tiny mouse pad on the side of it too. I love this thing for working on my Pi and shit, man. For working on anything, you know, because it's wireless, it charges over USB. This thing holds a charge for fucking forever.
Oh, you showed that to me. That is a handy little joker right there.
Dude, I love this thing. I mean, it's invaluable for shit like this because this thing is the size of like a small TV remote. I mean, it's the same size as my phone pretty much. It's just not quite as like, if I turn it up on its side, it's not quite as wide as my phone. Other than that, I mean, yeah, the thing fucking fits in my pocket. So yeah, I can just pack it up and take it with me, you know, anywhere. Plug it in, play some old Super NES games, man. Played some Goof Troop last night, some old ass Goof Troop. Oh my God. That game is actually, I've always read that game's really good. And it is as good as, you know, I've read.
It is. I mean, it's kind of Bomberman-esque. SNES Drunk has a review that's been in one of my recommended video queues for a while now. I've been meaning to watch it. one of my good friends back in middle school had that for Super Nintendo, and I remember playing that.
So I've only played multiplayer recently. In single player, can you still only carry one item at a time? Do you remember?
I'm not sure. It's been so long since I've actually played it.
Yeah,
I just remember it being fun.
It is, but in multiplayer, you can only carry one item at a time. Each player can carry an item, and it adds to the difficulty of the game for sure. You get some backtracking to, like, you got to pick up this key, but then you can't carry anything else. You can just pick up barrels and plants and toss them at enemies to kill the enemies that way. We made it all the way through the first level, though. The boss was vaguely like whack-a-mole-ish, I guess. These guys pop up out of these pipes, kind of a la what Super Mario World was at Castle 3. And
oh yeah, man, Iggy.
Yeah. And just popping up out of pipes, but you've got to throw stuff at them. You can't jump on them. It's cool. I'm really enjoying the game.
Oh man, the good stuff. I'll tell you, SNES Drunk is an awesome freaking channel, man. He's got, like, how many videos could you make on the catalog of Super Nintendo games? And I mean, he dips into Genesis as well. He'll have a video of which Genesis ports are better than their SNES counterparts. Which Super Nintendo counterparts are better to play, on that system than the Genesis.
Okay, wow.
Really, really good stuff, man. I mean, and he'll go through and say which games of X genre are still worth playing today. And he really does go into detail. Sometimes they're just absolute duds. He'll be like, this game is so shitty. It's so difficult. So shittily difficult that you can't even get past, the first two stages. He'll just be like, avoid this game.
Oh, wow.
Talk about doing some stuff that you end up questioning what you're doing with your life. I'm sure for the sake of that channel, he's played some shitty in SNES.
Man, I listen to a lot, or I watch a lot of Did You Know Gaming. I watch a fuck ton of those. And
man, dude, yeah, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I saw one of those today that, I think, well, no, I didn't send that. I didn't. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, I got something to add to this.
You're good, dude. You're good. Yeah, they don't really review games. It's cool. They just kind of go over like all sorts of random trivia about these titles, and that's kind of neat.
Yeah, man. And I mean, real interesting stuff on that channel. I watched one today about GoldenEye and the development of that and how it was under development for 2 years from 95 to 96. That Nintendo stopped funding the project at the tail end of it for like 3 months for no real reason, but Rare believed in it. So they kept, paying the developers during that time. It was going to be a rail shooter, kind of like Virtua Cop. They were taking a lot of cues from Virtua Cop, but they found that the gameplay was a lot better as a free roam type. And there's actually some dead code in there for an emulator. While they were developing this game, one of the developers was doing a little experiment to see if the Nintendo 64 could successfully emulate a certain type of really old niche system. And there's some dead code in there in the game that's inaccessible, in the copies that are shipped, but it's still in there. It's an emulator for a game, and several games that are coded in with the emulator.
Yeah, they're old Rare titles, aren't they? Because Rare was a developer for forever. I mean,
they are. Yeah, it's like all a bunch of like some of Rare's very first titles or something like that.
It's wild that Rare made fucking Donkey Kong Country and shit.
Yeah, they while they were tossing around the whole rail thing, they were trying to capitalize on how successful Donkey Kong Country was. So it was, a side scroller was kind of the first idea for it. And then it went to the rail shooter type thing.
that was their first FPS, wasn't it? They were like super inexperienced with.
They were. There was like 10 initial developers, 10 people assigned to the development team. And I mean, like, it was like 80% of them. I think they said really only 2 or 3 of them had any development experience. So the inexperience of the team really allowed them to see through what, experienced developers would see as, barriers. They just kind of came into it with an open. And the whole cherry on top is, most anybody that's read into GoldenEye, they know that the multiplayer was an afterthought that was added, days before it even shipped. And Did You Know Gaming said that it wasn't even, they didn't even get permission to do it. Like, they threw that together and put it in, and it was there. They didn't ask permission. They just did it. And it happened to be, ended up being one of the, that's what people remember about that game is the multiplayer,
Oh, yeah, right. Like one developer tacked it on or something like that.
Yeah, it was just an afterthought, like, oh, yeah, might as well do this. They just threw it together. And it kind of went in and explained how the old bonds didn't, how how you could, use a game shark to get their character portraits, but, you couldn't actually get their likeness in on the character model. They were going to do that, but they ran into licensing issues since they were representing actual people.
Yeah, I remember that because I have a Game Shark, and I've got an early version of the 64 Game Shark. And yeah, that was one of the codes where you could get their portraits in there. And I want to think like their suits are in the game, but maybe
that was in Perfect Dark. In Perfect Dark, you could get all 4 of their tuxedos were available.
Okay, yeah. Now I just started playing that again.
Yeah, when you mentioned that earlier today, that's what I thought about. I knew I had to bring that up somehow tonight. So I'm glad we segued into this because I thought that was really.
Yeah, I got my 64 hooked back up. Luckily, the expansion pack's still in it. I just, I received a brand new copy of Perfect Dark from a buddy of ours a couple of years ago, and I hadn't touched it. Dude, I can't find. Oh, I had all kinds of games. I can't find any of them anymore. I don't know where GoldenEye is. I don't know where my original Perfect Dark was.
I might be able to give you a copy of GoldenEye.
Oh, shit.
I've got, I'll let you know what, because I've, if I've got a cartridge to a game over the years, I've kept that shit. And I have a bunch of my 64 cartridges with my 64 in one of my bags here in one of my closets. And I saw them recently, so I've got tabs on them. I'll see what extras I got. I'm like 90% sure I've got 2 copies of GoldenEye.
Oh my God. That'd be fucking awesome.
Bro, yeah, I'll find that and I will definitely put that in my backpack for the next time I come into town.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, because Perfect Dark, so I've hopped on it. My controller's not the best. It's not real shitty though. You know how the joystick starts to go out on them.
Oh yeah, all mine are shot.
There's a buddy of mine who just posted on his Instagram. There's a shop, there's a shop in the big city that'll repair 64 controllers. They'll put like new
doing the Lord's work, son.
Yeah, and I think they'll put metal joysticks in them so they don't like rot down or whatever. They don't.
Oh wow.
I was looking to replace my 3DS circle pad because I've broken it. And they make metal circle pads for the 3DS. I think I'm going to get one. They're like $20. You have to do all the work yourself, but it's not crazy.
Dude, I don't know, man. Do you mind if we touch on Eve a little bit tonight?
Yeah, dude, go for. Well, let's see. So with Perfect Dark, I've started the story again. I've made it through the first 2 missions, which it's starting out very cool. I forgot the little part where you so in the second mission, you go into to rescue this doctor, and the doctor turns out to be like this fucking flying laptop with eyes. And I completely forgot this part of the story, man. The game's like super futuristic. You've got this little camera that can fly around the level, and like you have to fly it in to take pictures of like a nuclear, like a super unstable sample or super radioactive sample or something like that. It's very fucking cool. It's got like the whole fisheye lens shader effect going on. The frame rate is garbage sometimes. Luckily, the human eye can't see over 30 FPS. But
zing,
swing. But overall the game runs smooth enough, and it works. It's funny how on older console, well, this on the whatever generation that was, the 4th generation, the frame rates could suffer, and nobody really cared all that much. As long as it didn't affect the gameplay, like cutscenes could look like garbage and shit.
Yeah, frame rate is definitely something that I didn't take into account until, recently, man. Until I started piddling around with PCs. On that Did You Know Gaming, they actually talked about the Cradle level in GoldenEye and how it was going to be a multiplayer map, but the frame rate was shit. In the files, you could actually access the multiplayer map for Cradle, and they had spawns and stuff up, but when you played it, apparently the frame rate was kind of low on that level in single player to begin with, and it suffered even more during multiplayer. Something that I had never even noticed.
That's right. There were a couple of other levels as well that didn't have like all the correct like boundaries set and stuff, so you could just kind of roam around and shit. You would like fall through some stuff or something. I don't remember. Yeah. It's wild how they used to just like leave code in these games. But I think San Andreas kind of put that to a halt. Well, at least for a little while. The fucking hot coffee epidemic or whatever.
See, I thought, okay. See, I thought that's what you were going to say when you mentioned that.
Yeah, with San Andreas, there was a cutscene, or it was like a mini game where you could pick up a prostitute, you go back to her house or your house and fuck her or something like that. And apparently, like, code was written where you could like, there was an actual mini game where you were fucking her with a dildo and stuff. And it got cut, of course, but the code was left in the game, but it was easily modded back into the game. And, your Jack Thompsons of the world got all up in arms about my children and shit. You're letting your kids play GTA San Andreas and you're worried about fucking with a dildo? Like, okay. Don't worry about killing people and all that shit, all the, the foul language and all the other sexual references. It's the use of the actual dildo. Come on. Suck it, please.
Yeah, honestly, if you weren't depending on this game to raise your kid, that wouldn't be an issue.
So yeah, hit me with some Eve, man. I'm eager to hear what's new.
So not too much is new on my front. I come back to Eve every year or so. Right now, I've got nearly 5 years under my belt. In April of 2014 is when I started.
So let's give a little intro into what Eve is, I guess, just in case.
So
somebody listens to this shit.
Just in case nobody knows, it's a huge MMO that's been around for over a decade, I think. And it's space.
I think it's over space. 14 years is what I read.
It's wild. There's still like 40 to 50,000 people.
One of the guys who got kicked or who got all of his shit stolen, he was head of like one of the largest corporations in the game. He had all of his shit stolen by like his right-hand man, I think. And he had his account banned because he wanted to dox the guy. And I think he made the comment that he lost like 14 years of playtime, but whatever.
And that's when it gets, I mean, that's when it gets so heated, and because it's so cutthroat out here, man, that even relationships are used as avenues to get at people's shit. And I mean, if you get ripped off, it's a scam. And that's scamming is fine. Ripping somebody off is fine. As long as you're using legit avenues in the game. If they're dumb enough to give you the keys to their garage, man, you drive off with one of their cars, that's on them. And then people get so pissed, like you said, wanted to dox him, they try to take that shit outside the game.
I think the comment that he made was, if anybody, he was, apparently he was this huge asshole, had this huge ego and shit. And he was the head of this giant corporation who owned like tons and tons of space. Owned it, in the sense that they actually,
they occupied it out in nullsec. Yeah.
Yep. And which is so fucking interesting. Like, you don't actually you don't have property deeds, do you? You just plop your shit down.
There are, just player-owned stations where people can dock, and you've got enough defensive things set up to where people have to attack those structures before they can, actually attack where you can dock. And stuff like that, and start attacking that structure. So there's a little bit of a process to it. But I think one of the most recent things that happened within the past couple of hours, like the last 12 hours, is there was some big corporation down in nullsec that was making a move somewhere. I think it was called a move op. And I don't know, they packed up and they went to jump somewhere, and a whole bunch of stealth bombers from another corp got wind of it and ambushed them and blew a whole bunch of their shit up.
Dude, in the past 12 hours, that literally happened?
Oh, yeah. Just a corporation went, because it was posted on the subreddit, with links to the kill mail. That, the kill mail is basically whenever PvP happens in EVE or a ship gets blown up, it's logged. And what is blown up is logged. If there was an aggressor, if it was from another player, it's logged. And that information... What's that?
Even if they were stealth?
Yeah. Well, see, with stealth, you can't attack in stealth. You can't really do much while you're cloaked.
Okay.
Stealth
so there's no
bombers,
way to obfuscate that, whatever you called it, kill mail? There's no way to obfuscate,
that's just basically, telling you who killed who did how much damage, what was lost, what was salvaged in their wreck.
Oh, wow.
What was blown up. What they were fitted with. And, and then there's an ISK estimation of how much money all that costs. So when you hear a corporation lost however much ISK in ships and stuff, that's the estimation based off of what they were fitted with and all that crap. And what they bounce that up against as far as market prices, who knows, depending on where they bought all that crap from. It's really just a ballpark figure when you're looking at financial figures as far as losses in an engagement like that. But there are outside entities that can access that information of the deaths and stuff like that. So there's a killboard website, Z Killboard, I think is the name of it. And that's where you can go and see specific fights. I don't know how they break it down, how they link to a specific fight, but I know you can look at a given system, and see a record history of, and I mean dates and times of when shit has gone down. I've gotten into wormholes. So wormholes, known space is K space, and that's high sec, low sec, and null sec. Where all those corporations live, most of them is all in K space, and most of known space is null sec. High sec is only high sec and low sec is really only a sliver of K space.
high sec's basically like your starting zones.
Yeah, and that's really where I hang out. I'm such a little fish in the EVE universe. I'm a noob that's hung around for 5 fucking years.
But
I have never... What's that?
You can still like raid the fuck out of high sec too, though, if your corporation's big enough to take it.
Only if there is a war deck, which is a war declaration. If you're at war with another faction, if you're at war with another corporation, if your corporation is, and there's a formal declaration of war, you can attack each other anywhere. I was a member of Brave Newbies for a couple years, and when I joined up with them, they were like, hey, before you join up, move all your shit down here to where we're located at. You know, get all your crap ready and then join us, then accept the invitation. Because once you accept that invitation, you know, anybody we're at war with, you're at war with. And you don't want to get smoked carrying all your shit in your fucking hauler, you know. You know, here you are, a newbie trying to join other newbies, and you get smoked carrying your fucking load in, you know. So you have to watch for that in high sec. I'm a member of an NPC corporation, so it's basically a newbie corporation. That's not an actual player corp, so I don't have to worry about war decks. People can
hang on, just to interrupt real quick. So yeah, some of these files. So I'm still updating my Pi here. Just a quick update on this, because I'm seeing a date. So I'm unpacking Raspberry Pi kernel headers of February 15th, 2019 over March 28th, 2018. So and some of these files are labeled March of 17 that was updated in September of 18. So yeah, there's all kinds of fucking like updates and shit going on here. So yeah, some of this stuff hadn't been updated in a couple of years, but yeah, okay, all right. So all right, that's wild. All right, sorry to interrupt, but
you're good. How often do those kind of updates go out?
I have no idea. Not for, you know, this particular build of Raspbian /RetroPie /emulation station. Not really sure, because I hadn't updated mine. I haven't even used mine. I probably haven't even booted mine up in 2 years. Yeah, it's probably been a good 2 years since I've even booted mine up. Since I moved my entire desk in front of my TV. I used to have my desk over in the corner, and when I decided to bachelor it up and turn the entire house into a fucking cave, a man cave, I quit, you know, because now everything's on my computer and my TV. I don't need to steal movies. I don't need to steal video games on a different device. But now that I've got I can move it around. I've actually cleaned out another room. I can go play games in there. I can go play games at friends' houses. So I kind of have a reason to use my Pi again. So yeah. Anyway, back to you. My bad.
No. You're good, dude. You're good. I mean, I don't even really know where we were. Just the lay of the land, known space. High sec, you really just have to worry. If you're PvP in high sec is pretty much limited, as far as I know, to war declarations, and if somebody wants to suicide you and just go after you, I mean, they can, but they're going to get blown up by Concord, which is like the NPC. You know, they're indestructible. Like if Concord comes after you, they are going to kill you. There's no getting away from that. If you do manage to warp away, wherever you show up that they can get at you, they're going to get you.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, and they're like crazy overpowered and stuff. I mean, all those ships have stats and stuff, but it's all wild. I mean, it really comes down to once you start the game, you're going to want to fly different ships, and it comes down to you're going to have to make money somehow because you're going to have to afford the ship hull. But then guess what? You've got to put fittings, you know, modules, items on the ships and the slot. So you've got to figure out how to make money, and you can go to different systems and go to combat sites that you just open up your scanner window and it'll show you a little map of the system that you're in. And you can warp to things that you don't have to use probe scanners for. But there will also be there's anomalies that'll show up like combat sites that you can go to and fight NPCs and get crap that will be left behind in their wreck, and then you can salvage their wreck if you have a salvager equipped on your ship. Or you can go to asteroid belts and mine certain rocks for different ore and reprocess that ore and then sell what you reprocess. Instead of just selling the straight up ore, it's much better if you reprocess it and then sell the individual materials, I found.
That just takes time. That's just an equation.
It does.
Okay.
It takes a lot of time, but it's safe. It's a safe, very steady method of income, and that's basically what you do to field your first couple of ships to where you can start running combat sites. And then you'll sometimes, off those combat sites and wrecks, you'll get items that you can actually fit, like Tech 1 modules that you can fit on some of your ships. And over 5 years, I've got a good amount of Tech 1 frigates. I've got a couple of cruiser class, a couple destroyer class, couple cruiser class ships. I think the biggest ship that I have, let me pop this open. It's a Caldari ship. It's a Naga. It's a battle cruiser. It's like my huge freaking railgun. I've got huge railguns on this battle cruiser, and I mean I can smoke shit from like 100 kilometers out. But I'm just a solo dude, so it's really weird trying to rat in something like that, because if they get in close, I don't have anything I can really hit them with. I don't think that's got any drones in it. But basically, I'm winding my way around to the new way that I make money now. Is I did have a nest egg. I did have somebody give me a good like 100 million ISK that I've spent wisely.
Like talking about combat, these are missions given by NPCs. Is that where you go fight like pirate NPC ships?
You can do missions from agents. I haven't done that stuff in years. I haven't taken an actual mission since I did those Sisters of Eve quests back in 2014, right when I first started.
And those are some of like the starting quests, just to kind of get
a
tutorial almost.
In that last mission in the tutorial where you lose your ship, didn't you get like an Astero or something like that, and you lost that shit on that last mission? That I wanted to think either I thought that was you.
I think so.
Because I remembered feeling really bad for you because I had the same thing happen. But you had held off on doing that last mission or something because you were trying to get a really badass ship, and you got one and you did that last mission, and it was some stupid scripted crap at the very end where you lose your ship. Yeah. I remember you being real pissed about that. I felt really bad. I was like, I totally don't blame him if he quits this game right now.
Yeah, I think I uninstalled it. Yeah,
I think you did. I think that was a wrap. But these are just in any old system that you go into, you can see these combat sites that you can warp to, and there are red ships there, red bad guys that are just waiting on you. And you can bounce from combat site to combat site, and they respawn after you clear them and you go away from that system for a little bit and come back. They'll respawn later on, and there's varying types of them, varying difficulties. I think the lower security systems you go, the more difficult the combat sites actually are. And I think these combat sites kind of work the same way throughout all the different systems. So those are the ones that you can see right off the bat. There will be what's called a cosmic anomaly, a cosmic signature that it won't tell you what it is. You've got to have a probe launcher equipped in a high slot on your ship, and you've got to have probe cores, and you shoot those out, and you can use your map of that solar system to direct where you want your probes to go and scan. And you scan this area, and it kind of tightens up. The closer you get to scanning this signature, it'll tell you what type of site it is, whether it's a relic site or a data site, which are two things that I'm not too familiar with. That's explorers can do that for loot and money and stuff, hack those sites and do what they got to do with those.
Yeah, the relic sites, I think you're just like searching a system for like artifacts or something. But
you've got a certain fitting on your ship that allows you to accomplish that too. So you have to, and you can't just swap out fittings. You got to be docked to do that. So you kind of, if you're going out for relic sites, then your fitting reflects that. So people that you see out in the world, they're about their business. What they're fitted with is they're fitted with what they need to take care of the job that they're trying to do. And so you can scan these sites down. Well, some of them are wormholes. And wormholes sometimes they can go to other parts of known space.
Fucking cool.
Most of the time they go to J space, which are solar systems that are only accessible through wormholes. And there are six. Yep.
Are there multiple wormholes that can access the same sector of J space?
Yes.
Ooh.
And this is, as I understand it, and there are hundreds, and I'm not exaggerating. There are hundreds of different wormhole systems out there. And they all have a number designation that follows J. It's J, whatever the 6 digits are. And that's why it's called J space. Well, the wormholes will pop up in various K-space solar systems. And there are different types of wormholes themselves. Some of them are big enough to fit medium-sized ships through. Some of them are big enough to fit large. Some are only really small wormholes. And they don't last forever. They do have a time limit, but it's really dependent. There's only a finite amount of mass that a wormhole can put up with going through it. So the larger the ship, the more the mass. And so if you have a large ship going through a wormhole, that's going to degrade its ability to take in more ships a lot more than it would if a small frigate went through. And so you have to be real careful. You have to look at the information. You have to right click on the wormhole and read the information to get the description to see how far into its degradation cycle it is, and to see how much mass it might allow through it. And it'll tell you if it's well traveled, if it's about to close up because of that, if it's just nearing the end of its natural life cycle. So you've got to, after you scan this thing down, you've got to go in close enough to look at it. And sometimes it'll tell you if it goes into known space, J space, or dangerous unknown space. Dangerous unknown space means it probably goes to a higher classification of wormhole space, which there's 6 different classifications of wormhole systems, C1 through C6. Each one of these types of systems have varying degrees of, combat sites that are varying degrees of difficulty. There are also gas sites, certain types of gas sites, the more valuable gas sites being the more dangerous C6, C5, C6, J space.
And dangerous in terms of NPCs?
NPCs, and since they're more lucrative systems, Wormhole Corps could be holed up and living there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There are gas sites that some of the more lucrative gas sites, you can harvest this gas and actually make illegal drugs that you can inject that give you certain boosts.
What? How are they illegal?
They're illegal because it's the gas types that you use to make them are illegal by Concord standards. And if they catch you coming through a warp gate, they'll scan your cargo, and if they catch that shit in your cargo, they will light you up.
What?
But you can still use the injectors and then go and do your shit, as long as you don't have that stuff on you.
As long as you don't get pulled over and breathalyzed.
But they make that stuff in J-Space. So when you're jumping through a wormhole, you don't know where it's going to lead. You could jump into the cartel's backyard.
Dude, what in the fuck? Are you serious? I did not know this was a gameplay element.
Dude, yes. This is why I've been so jazzed about wormholes for the past 2 years. So I've been training for like the past 2 years. I've squirreled together the cache. I've done the reading. I've got a stealth bomber. It really has taken me about 2 years of on and off playing to train up all the skills, not just the skills to get into it, the skills to survive, to like survive a fucking fight. Because when you go into a wormhole, these different J-Space systems, depending on the class of wormhole, there are different effects inside of these systems that can affect how your capacitor operates, the different resistances, even
because your capacitor
is your power to basically power all your modules.
Yeah, all the fittings and shit you put on your ship. Yeah. Can you dynamically power up and down different fittings?
You can.
Yeah,
you can. And some, because see, with a stealth bomber, there are some things that are non-negotiable. You need a covert ops cloak. You need a probe scanner. If you're not bombing, you need a probe scanner. If you're running through wormholes, you need those 3 torpedo launchers. So those are your 5 high slots. You need a warp scrambler to keep your freaking target from getting away. You've only got 2 low slots if you're rolling a Nemesis, so you need ballistics control systems for added DPS. And here's the thing, since we're talking about fittings, if you're not bombing, which, if you're rolling solo like I am, it really doesn't make sense to have a bomb. I mean, you can roll with one in your cargo, in case bombing? You can, like an actual, like you can fit a bomb launcher into a high slot and launch a bomb it's slow, but when it goes out there far enough and detonates, it's freaking devastating.
AoE.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you got a bomber squadron, I mean, you're fucking shit up. It really doesn't make sense for me to have one. But I need a probe scanner in that slot anyway to scan down wormholes, go inside, and scan down stuff inside as well.
Now, you can follow someone else with a probe scanner, though, yeah? Do you need a probe scanner to get through a wormhole if your buddy has one?
It would be recommended for everybody to have a probe scanner, unless you... Unless you're hot on the directional scan, which I don't know. If you're with a huge group, I guess you could probably get away with it. I'd be carrying one. Okay. Unless, then again, this is wormhole space. If you're with somebody that knows what they're doing, I probably wouldn't need one, but I do rolling solo. So you really don't have much wiggle room in your high and low slots. It's your mid slots where you've got 4. You really do need to keep somebody from warping off if you're attacking. So that leaves 3. But the next,
that's a warp scrambler.
And so I've got a warp disruptor. I'm rolling with a warp disruptor 1. It's got a 20 kilometer radius, which is about as close as I need to be getting. So if you're not bombing and you got a probe scanner, your main weapon, what you've got are torpedoes. You've got 3 torpedo launchers. So you want to use your Caldari Navy Inferno torpedoes if you're rolling Nemesis like I am. Because the way it's an explosion, right? The way torpedoes work in EVE, these specific torpedoes have a 480 meter blast radius. You want to hit something with a signature radius that's larger than your blast radius. That way it soaks up all of the blasts. So the signature radius is basically how big your target is. So you would want to hit something with a 600 meter signature radius because, you've got 480. Whereas if I hit something with a 200 meter signature radius, they're only going to soak up a fraction of my damage.
Yeah, so you're going after bigger, like frigate ships, mining ships.
Well, frigates are small.
Oh,
so
okay.
Larger mining barges, battle cruisers, you're wanting to hit big stuff. But what you want to do is put rigs in your rig slots that lower the signature radius. I am rolling with, it is a small warhead rigger catalyst 1. And what that does is it drops my explosion radius by 15%. So it makes my explosion radius smaller so I can put full damage on smaller targets. It doesn't fuck with my damage. It just makes the explosion smaller so I can hit smaller targets. I'm also rolling with 2 target painters in my mid slots. And those boost the signature radius of my target. So hitting them with 2 boosts that signature radius. So I can hit smaller stuff. But I really, honestly, don't have enough of my torpedo stuff trained to get a ton of DPS. I need to be hitting at least 400 DPS right now. But with my fit, I'm running 300. So I'm not super effective. But I mean, I'm there. I'm far from defenseless. But we won't even get into explosion velocity, because hitting a moving target, you want your explosion velocity to be high so that your explosion, quote unquote, catches up with your target. That's what I read. I don't think I have any problems with that right now. But I'm at the tail end of having at least my core skills trained to a proficient level. And I've got some extra good to have skills that I've already trained up just from crap that I was doing prior to wanting to be in a stealth bomber. But you get into these J-space systems and there's different things that affect how your ship handles. Like a red giant, I think, increases thermal damage, reduces your inertia. So taking turns is a little more difficult, or it increases inertia. Taking turns are a little more difficult and stuff like that. So yeah, just the unknown of wormhole space is kind of what pulls me into it. I have a particular corporation that I'm looking to join. I checked it. I've got another 3 days worth of training before I get that last skill train. That was a requirement.
So, all right. So we've been going about an hour on video games, and there's a fuck ton of politics for us to cover as well. This is going to be a long episode. But so, man, the only way I could get back into EVE, I'd have to commit to EVE only. I'd have to quit playing every other video game I want to play. And I can't make that commitment right now.
I don't know. Since it's free to play, we could find out. We could find out something that I could be doing on the regular, like I normally do, playing EVE, and we could figure out something like a side thing that you and me do when you get the chance to play and keep it free to play. Because, I mean, honestly, dude, the only reason why I'm subbed is because there's a 5 million skill point cap on alpha clones, which is free to play. And I'm close to 7.5 million, which is not all that much compared to some of these long timers. But I can't train any skills while I'm free to play. And I don't know. I like this stealth bomber, man. I like being able to warp around while being stealthed and stuff. And I know we've got politics to get into. I'll end it here. I've only got 20 million in the bank, and I've got an estimated probably 45 to 50 invested in the fittings and stuff on this stealth bomber. The hull and the fittings, the rigs, probably about 50 million. If I take out a sweet insurance policy on this bitch, which I am, and I lose it, it'll take me a little bit of grinding. I mean, it'll probably take me another week before I can field another stealth bomber. But I've only got one extra life beyond this, and it's going to take me some time. So I don't know. In DayZ, you don't get attached to your loot. In Eve, you don't fly shit that you're not willing to lose. It's just, this is going to be like that little baby seal that they nursed back to health, and they were on the edge of the boat when they let him off onto the edge of the glacier there, and he hops out a couple of feet and turns around and looks back at everybody, and everyone waves and wipes a tear away, and he hops out a little bit further and just gets annihilated by that freaking orca. That's what this is going to be for me. So I really do just need to rip the Band-Aid off and just go ahead and get this first loss behind me. But
it sounds like such a fucking, it'd be a good time if I had the time to put into it. I don't have the time to put it into an MMO. I don't anymore. I will one day in the future, maybe, if I don't die first.
Yeah. I mean, it's just nice that this has remained a stable thing that I can come back to. I know a lot of longtime Eve players have a lot of shit to say with how things are going right now with CCP, and I know a lot of changes have occurred behind the scenes since I started playing in 2014, but I'm still a fucking noobing around. I am the little fish that these fucking sharks want to gobble up. I am that sucker that doesn't have any friends, that can be cheated, scammed, swindled, and otherwise hornswoggled. And if they don't want to do that to me, they want to blow me out the freaking sky, man.
Speaking of all that.
Yeah.
Just on a whim this week. When was this? This was yesterday. I wanted to dig into some of these Trump-related arrests.
And you dug the fuck in, son.
Yeah, man, you've got to. We were sitting there listening to those Senate hearings against old Baldy last week, acting Attorney General Whitaker.
Yeah, former acting Attorney General.
That's
now
right.
I do believe.
He is. And, a couple of those Democrats made a point to stand up and speak their mind about, here's all of the arrests that we've made in the in the Mueller investigation in the Russia scandals. We got Papadopoulos, we got Flynn, we got fucking whoever else, I don't know.
Manafort.
We got Manafort. We got
heads on pikes.
Yeah, we got Manafort's fucking cousin or whatever. We got this guy over here. We got that guy over there. We got whoever. We're going to the White House and basically kind of what they're doing there. And so I go digging. I'm like, all right. I keep hearing the Democrats say that we've got all these guys. Here is who Mueller has put behind bars. But then you've got people like Styx Hexenhammer talking about, and other people that we respect talking about, none of these arrests, none of these indictments are related to the Russia scandal, quote unquote, at all. So, yeah, I wanted to go digging. And the first one that I came across was old Papadopoulos. Old Papa D, DPAP. And so I went digging. Basically what I came across, and this was in actual, this was in, oh, hang on. I think my Pi is just about done updating. It's going through all sorts of removal shit right now. Let me flip back over here. So this document is the United States of America versus George Papadopoulos. And digging through this, it seems to say that DPAP was in Italy, and he met a professor. He just met this guy who was a professor in London. Not Paris. And this professor did not take any interest in Papa D at all. I guess that, sounds like they were just passing each other on the street, kind of, is what the document made it sound like. And then all of a sudden, Papa D blurted out of his mouth that he was Trump's foreign policy advisor. Wasn't that Papa D?
Certainly a policy advisor. I mean, at that point, what time frame was this? This was 2016, was it not?
This was 2016. Yes.
See, he had a lot of people associated with his campaign. And look, there was a lot of winning going on at that point. Who wouldn't have wanted to have, drummed up their involvement with the Trump campaign?
Okay, yeah, he was a campaign advisor. That's right. And so, I guess he's just walking down the street and I'm a Trump campaign advisor. And then the professor turns around and he's like, "Whoa, yeah, okay, I like you now. Like, let's be friends or whatever." So now they're best friends, right? This is the timeline that was presented to me that I could dig up online. I'm kind of being absurd here, but almost not really. This is how it's been told to this is how it's been told to me by the internet. And
just real quick, which sites did you go to pull all these articles from?
Oh shit. I don't remember. I eventually found a lot of the information from I guess what's known as the Statement of Offense, which is the U.S. versus Papadopoulos. I think I just went digging through a handful of sites. I mean, I'm sure New York Times came up. Yeah, sorry. I don't know for sure. Don't know for sure. I was just looking through timelines. And but I referenced a handful of sites, and they all pretty much said the same thing. And normally when I go to a site like that, I'll try to dig through to find the most underlying link that I can. Because MSNBC is real bad about it. New York Times is real bad about it. Washington Post is real bad about it. They'll link to their own articles as sources for their own information. So I click those, and then I click another one of those back to themselves again, and then I click another one of those to themselves again, till you finally find some source information there. And still, it's not really source information most of the time. It's all this shit's real sketchy. Like, I do not trust these motherfuckers at all. But this is the official telling of the story. So apparently Papadopoulos tells the FBI that for some reason he just had to tell him that, yeah, he met with this professor. Anyway, when the professor finds out that he is a campaign advisor for Trump, the professor sets up a meeting with some Russian lady who Papadopoulos believes is Putin's niece, and he's sending information to the campaign supervisor about hey, I've met this woman, she's Putin's niece, let's get a meeting set up, with Trump and Putin. And he was put in jail for 14 days because he told the FBI originally that he met this professor before he was a campaign advisor. And that's a lie that he told the FBI. These meetings never happened. He was trying to set up a meeting with Trump and Russia because apparently you have to meet some random dude on the streets of London for that to happen. And that lie was enough to land him in jail. The meeting never happened. The meeting never ever took place. But so that's why Papadopoulos was arrested. That, if anything, that is evidence that Trump has no connections to Russia. Because if Trump himself has, a backdoor to Russia, why not just fly over to Russia and be like, hey, I'm here. Let's do some backroom deals, guys. Why does he have to go through some? And apparently this chick turned out to not be Putin's niece. None of it makes any sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. That's the whole thing about this goddamn thing. So anyway, fuck that whole thing. Next, here's Manafort.
So hey, real quick, that professor, was he not a Cambridge professor?
Let's see. He was. Let me look.
Stefan Halper?
Papadopoulos professor.
That man was an FBI informant. That's why it looked like he just jumped him off the street.
No, this is Joseph Mifsud.
Oh, Mifsud. Okay.
Yep, he was the professor who had contact with Papadopoulos. He became interested after the latter told the academic about his involvement in the Trump campaign. Yeah, this is Newsweek. I've never read Newsweek before in my life, I don't think. The interest was mutual because Papadopoulos thought the professor had ties to top Russian officials. I thought Trump had ties to top Russian officials, man. That's what the fucking story is. That's what's so frustrating about all this. So Mifsud was the honorary director. He's not even an actual director of the London Academy of Diplomacy. What the fuck is that? Located at the University of Stirling, according to the most recent cached version of an online biography. That's not real. So apparently this guy was he was part of an online university or something. I don't know, it's fucking stupid. Okay, so here's New York Post. Here's Cambridge professor outed as FBI informant inside Trump campaign. A Cambridge professor with deep ties to American and British intelligence has been outed as an agent who snooped on the Trump presidential campaign for the FBI, which is a link, to the New York Post. Trump accuses feds of planting spy in his campaign. Okay, that doesn't go any deeper other than tweets by Trump himself. Okay, yeah, that whole article there is sourced by tweets by Donald Trump. Whew. Dude, you got to click these fucking links in these articles. Install an ad blocker and click those fucking links, man. So yeah, that's, the Papadopoulos story is a big hunk of shit. Big hunk of shit. So then I moved on to
a big old frozen chunk of poop.
Pretty much, dude. Pretty much. No, it's a Boeing bomb. And Democrats are eating off of it, man. They are eating off of the thing. Ketchup and all, man. So next, I went to Paul Manafort.
Ah, yes, old sweaty Paul Manafort.
And yeah, it does seem like Manafort's a piece of shit. But so some fag over at NBC says that if there was any concern about the ability, professionalism, or direction of Robert Mueller's special counsel, let me do my what's his name? Hardcore History with Dan Carlin. If there was any ever concern about the ability, professionalism, or direction of Robert Mueller's special counsel team, Paul Manafort's guilty plea erases all such doubt. Okay, so let's see if we can erase some doubt here from my mind. Quote here from somewhere, who knows where, maybe NBC. The special counsel who is investigating whether the Trump campaign colluded with Russia in the 2016 election may seek to determine whether Manafort sought to benefit in some way from his unpaid work, Zeidenberg said. Gates worked with Manafort for a decade in Ukraine, serving as a loyal wingman. In his guilty plea, Gates admitted that he helped Manafort set up dozens of undisclosed offshore bank accounts, hide their work as unregistered agents for Ukraine, and launder millions of dollars into the U.S. Manafort convinced Gates to help him create false documents for banks, urged his son-in-law to lie to a bank appraiser, and misled lenders about the use of loans, prosecutors charged. That's what he was charged with.
So look here, yeah. I don't doubt for 1 second that Paul Manafort, I bet he did do all that.
But his charges have nothing to do with the campaign even.
Yeah, this reeks of, oh shit, we need to charge somebody. I mean, look, Trump is not as white as the pure driven. And I'm sure he knows an unscrupulous fuck when he sees one, and he did fire Manafort. He did distance himself from Manafort long before this crap happened.
Didn't he do the same thing with Stone?
He fired Stone, yeah, because of Pence. You know, at least that was his official voiced reason for it, for
and the same thing with
misrepresenting some information to Pence. Yeah.
And so the deal with Manafort had nothing to do with the thing at all. So, you know, now we're fucking 0 for 2 or whatever. And the whole Flynn story is exactly the same story as Papadopoulos, is that Flynn met some guy who knows a Russian chick who Flynn's trying to set up some Russian deal, some Russian meeting between, some meeting between Trump and some government officials in Russia. If Trump has all these connections that they say he has, why are these deals so shaky and flaky? Doesn't make any sense. None of this story is holding up at all.
No, it's not. And there was already an article today by the Washington Examiner, and I think CNN even published an article saying that the rumblings are that the Mueller investigation could be wrapped up by next.
I saw that.
I mean, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. But there's never been any there. I mean, they're just trying to cast shit on anyone as close as they can get. That way they can at least leave here having said that they charged some people with something.
But dude, compare this to something like Benghazi.
Oh, I know. Something that really needed to be actually investigated.
Yeah, and
all the FBI did was run cover for that shit.
Yeah, dude. Or fucking Fast and Furious, man. Giving guns to Mexican cartels. For what reason? To track down the cartels? They're going to give guns to them so they can see where the cartels are or something? I don't know.
What a blunder. What an absolute blunder.
And the Benghazi thing, for the children out there that have no fucking clue what we're talking about, it's, that's when old, what was Defense Secretary? Is that what she was? Secretary of Defense?
She was the Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, yeah.
At consulate in Benghazi was attacked, and we didn't do a damn thing.
He was an Eve player, wasn't he?
One of the people that died was Vile Rat. Yup.
And he didn't he make statements that like he knew that, I mean, He was, his words were kind of behind the whole thing that like he knew some shit was about to go down, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah. I mean, look, the opposing force had mortars sighted in on that building. You don't do that overnight. The official response or the official government assessment of the situation was that these riots sprung up over some stupid YouTube video.
Yep.
When no, they had sighted in mortars on that consulate. It was a planned attack.
And they requested additional security, which was not provided.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, man, I mean, 2 of those guys died on the rooftop of that building, and a mortar hit and killed one of them, and the other one was fucked up, but he kept fighting, and he eventually died up there. And Vile Rat and Ambassador Chris Stevens both died inside the building of smoke inhalation. I believe was their official cause of death.
That's nuts, dude. That's nuts.
What an egregious lapse in judgment. It said that that consulate was allowed to be destroyed because we were shipping stuff from Benghazi to Syria, weapons. We were trafficking weapons there.
Oh,
to people we didn't have a business tracking weapons to. I mean, there was a CH-47 that got hit with a fucking American Stinger, dude.
Oh,
that
yeah.
It slammed into the side of the aircraft, and the warhead didn't detonate. Payload didn't go off, and they landed, and they pulled that bastard out the side of the aircraft, and they read the serial number off of it, and that shit was American. Now, how the hell an American Stinger, ends up in the hands of rebels? Well, you just put 2 and 2 together.
All right. So I haven't heard that story before. That sounds crazy. I'm going to fact check that real quick. Let's see what I come up with. American Stinger C-147. What was it? No, that's
CH-47.
CH-47. C-147 is fucking Rick and Morty's universe. Oh, New York Post here. How the Taliban got their hands on modern U.S. missiles. Obama administration isn't only giving back the Taliban its commanders, it's giving them weapons. Oh, fucking ouch. June 8th, 2014. Taliban fighters in Kunar province successfully targeted a U.S. Army CH-47 helicopter with a new generation Stinger missile. Dude. There's no source to this article at all. It's New York Post. Well, okay. It says the source is Kenneth R. Timmerman, Dark Forces, The Truth About What Happened in Benghazi. That's the source for this article. That's crazy, though. I mean, well, and here's a picture. They say Taliban militia stand in the back of a pickup truck with heat-seeking Stinger missiles. Yeah, American Stinger missiles. That's crazy. Tell you what, though. I mean, I don't know anything about the source material, but finding, a little confirmation there was much easier than trying to find out why Manafort and Papadopoulos were arrested. CNN from 2010. Shoulder-fired missiles, a threat to U.S. troops in Afghanistan. Check this out. Among the 90,000 secret U.S. military documents posted on the internet this week by WikiLeaks are more than a dozen reports of possible attacks on Afghanistan coalition aircraft using heat-seeking shoulder-fired missiles. It was that type of missile that brought down numerous Soviet military aircraft when the Soviet Union tried to occupy Afghanistan in the 1980s.
Yeah, and they got their asses paddled, son. Lots of lessons should have been learned from that.
Oh, WikiLeaks, man. Hey, now don't nobody listening to this podcast, don't read WikiLeaks. It's illegal.
Yeah.
Wait for us to read it and tell you
Let
what's
Chris Cuomo tell you what's up, dude.
Yeah. Chris Cuomo.
Lap that Kool-Aid up. Dude, 2020 is going to be a shit show. Oh my God. Bernie's in the race now.
Bernie's going to be 79 years old in January of 2020.
As Stick says, knocking on the door of being an octogenarian. I expand my vocabulary, I swear, every time I get my clanks, dude. An octogenarian in the 80s, dog. Old man. Old white man.
Dude, Biden is only a year younger than Bernie.
He's old as shit, too. I can't believe he has not jumped in the race.
Wait.
Oh, shit. I think
Donald Trump is 72 years old?
Yeah, dude, you wouldn't know that, boy.
There ain't no way.
That man's got some stamina.
Dude, he is 72? Are you fucking kidding
Just
me?
had another physical. That dude is still ticking.
72? I thought the dude was fucking 50-something.
No. He's up there, man. He's up there, dude. And that's the thing. That's the thing that these older people like Warren and Biden and Sanders, they really do have to step up their game. Are they going to be able to out-campaign Donald Trump? And look, this is why I view 2020 as like a gladiator ring. I mean, Trump is a gladiator. He is still standing over the political corpse of Hillary Clinton right now.
Dude, yeah.
In the middle of the ring. And the crowd is still cheering. The crowd is still cheering. And I'm telling you, man, I don't see anyone that has been fielded out there yet that I think could seriously stand out. What are you going to do? Campaign for higher taxes? Oh, bro. Oh, man. Oh, dude. Oh, someone just warped into that wormhole. I've been scanning down wormholes in HiSec, and I've just been watching. And I've been sitting out here stealthed, man, orbiting this wormhole, and I just saw a ship go in it. Damn, I was about to go in.
What was the deal with Cory Booker? Isn't he a molester or something?
Dude, he just all his crap, bro. He wrote some article back in the day that was just fucking weird, man.
I'm looking for it on his Wikipedia page. I don't see where he got Me Too'd. That's weird.
That really is weird. He's a total knucklehead. The way he conducted himself during the Kavanaugh hearings, him and Kamala Harris, just absolutely egregious. I mean, Kamala Harris has already stepped on her own titties a couple times with her tweets about Jussie Smollett, and that's a whole nother can of worms. I mean, we really don't have time to get into that. Mr. Fake Hate Crime, fake lynching, she was pushing some sort of anti-lynching legislation and just happened to, be doing that at the same time that this idiot's staging this crap, and she makes some tweet saying this is, modern day lynching, support my legislation, just using this fake crap as a jumping off point.
Dude, that Jussie Smollett thing is getting crazy.
He has been indicted by a grand jury. As of, since we started this podcast, there are articles going up that he has now been indicted by a grand jury.
Yep.
He is now officially a suspect.
Yep, stemming from a January 29th incident in which Smollett says he was attacked outside a Chicago restaurant, in which police have now officially accused him of staging himself. He could carry as many as 3 years in prison. But, he's black and he's gay. So, according to that, he should get 30 years. Is that right? If...
Yeah, since we're so terrible to people like that, yeah.
That's right. But, oh, fuck, he's an actor. He's not going to get any jail time at all. Oh, well.
See, now is the time. It's like, okay, we have these rules so that people don't waste, police resources with lies. Are we gonna charge him? Is he gonna get jail time? Because I would fully expect that if it was me fucking around doing something like this, my ass would be under the jailhouse, dude. Under the jailhouse. Damn, I'm glad I didn't go in that wormhole, dude. I really almost did that shit.
Oh, here's an update. Deadline reports that Smollett's well, let me see what Deadline says. Jussie Smollett's lawyers promise aggressive defense on felony charges. Yeah. Like any other citizen, Mr. Smollett enjoys the presumption of innocence, particularly when there has been an investigation like this one where information, both true and false, has been repeatedly leaked. Earlier, Smollett, the openly gay actor who plays openly gay Jamal Lyon on the Fox series The Empire, was charged with disorderly conduct and filing a false police report related to the widely reported and outrage-provoking January 29th attack. But, okay, so this leads straight into the Covington kids again.
Yes,
false,
it does.
Fucking fake news, bullshit. He smiled at some indigenous people wrong. Crazy, dude. It's crazy what's going on right now. Is this
I knew this Trump hate was going to come to a head at some point.
It's just fantasy. Everybody's fucking singing that piece of garbage.
Now we got people catching charges for lying about shit that didn't happen. We've got people getting sued for reporting on shit that didn't happen. I mean, what more evidence do you want that the people that are saying those types of things are fucking lying? They are lying. These are the only instances where we have been able to demonstrably prove their just absolute maliciousness, man, because that's what it is. They are no longer reporting in good faith on Donald Trump or anyone associated with him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's obvious by the dirt that I just dug up. The senators aren't even being, the senators are being dishonest. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That they're just openly spitting out bullshit. I was proud. I was really proud of a couple of guys there. Where did I write all this shit down at? Oh, back.
Yeah, I saw your list there. Robert Jordan, I know, was one of them that was on top of. Not Robert Jordan. God, that's the Wheel of Time author. Senator, it's
Jim Jordan.
Jim Jordan. Jordan was his last name.
Yeah, Jim Jordan. Oh, let's see, man. I was hammering that shit as quickly as I could because I was typing it live. Yeah, some of those Republicans, dude, I wasn't sure if they were at the right meeting. They kept talking about they kept talking about the border, and I get it. They want that to be a big deal, but that's not really, I don't feel like that's their platform to really stand on, especially in the face of acting Attorney General Whitaker, who was on his way out the door a week later. They were just standing up there beating tiny little dicks, dude. So yeah, Jim Jordan. Oh, I didn't write down what he said, but he hammered some shit in. This guy Ted Deutsch, I guess that's how you pronounce it. He was trying to establish that Whitaker was biased against the Mueller investigation, and he was just asking the question: Is that the reason why you were hired to be Sessions' chief of staff? Is that the reason you were hired in the first place? Some of these guys were going up and be like, what qualifications did you have to be the acting attorney general? Well, he was chief of staff under the last attorney general. So that's, fucking qualification enough. Dig a little fucking deeper, please. This guy Deutsch was doing a good job. This guy Andy Biggs was asking some good questions as well. I don't remember what he was asking, but he's a Democrat representing Arizona's 5th congressional district. Yep. Both of those guys were hitting hard, man. And I really appreciated what they were doing. That was some good stuff. And Doug Collins, I don't know. He was all right, I guess. Whitaker was talking a lot. He was stalling a lot. It was unimpressive. I realize there's a lot of shit he can't talk about, but he was intentionally wasting time.
With how he would start every single response.
Yep. And, I think that's where I really, really respected Biggs and Deutsch, where they were like, look, you don't have to repeat the question. I know how this shit works. Answer the goddamn question. Quit shitting around. I'm asking you a real question here. Give me a real answer. Or just fucking don't. But don't waste my fucking time. So, congratulations to those guys. They get Democrats of the Month or whatever. I'd vote for them. But yeah, there's some crazy stuff. Oh, yeah. Bill Barr is our new Attorney General. Old Bill Barr.
That's right.
Attorney General Bill Barr. Well, that might be a wrap then. That's over an hour and a half. Whew. Let's see. Hey, let's see. Let's report in on what the pie's doing. It's been going for fucking forever. Oh my God. This shit might have to run overnight. Oh, it's still going, dude. Jesus, fuck, this thing's going. Oh, all right. Well, I'll wake up tomorrow and it might be done. Now it seems like it's updating the emulators. Okay, yep. It's installing the NES emulator for LibRetro. It's configuring some specific file updates. All right. So yeah, I mean it's running the whole gamut. Yeah, I'm working on a few years of updates here. Apparently, I don't see any dates scrolling across the system right now, but it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it for a little portable gaming system. Have you booted up the handheld game yet, or lately?
Dude, no, I haven't fired it up since some of the first weeks that I was here. Because really, I had it packed away with several of my other important keepsakes like my ocarina and stuff like that. And only now am I getting organized around here. And so I need to find another case proper, because dude, I've kept it in its original little fork case. I've kept all that, man, because you wrote on that in marker and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping.
Hell yeah!
No matter what I store that in, ultimately, I'm keeping the original package.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, so that little kit I got off of a DIY engineering, or I don't remember what the website is, but if you search up DIY engineering, you should find it. And the guy sells kits. He didn't sell that kit anymore. Now he only sells super nice wood carved kits and shit. Because I checked it out a couple of weeks ago. I mean, he builds some nice stuff, and you can just buy the files from him to build your own from scratch, to 3D print it, or to fucking laser carve it, whatever the fuck they do. I don't know. But yeah, I bought that kit, put it together. It took me, I don't know, a couple of weeks. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, now, I mean, his kits stay sold out all the time though too. I bought that one as soon as he announced it.
I don't have a nightstand on my end of the bed, and whenever I do finally get one, I'm going to get a power strip set up over there, and I'm going to put it to where I can get to it. Because that's when I enjoy doing it, is before I go to bed at night.
Yeah, same. Yeah, so on my 3DS, I've got some of the homebrew that I use is, and I may have mentioned this before, it lowers the color temperature, and it actually darkens the screen further. So I can actually have a warm light kind of coming from my 3DS instead of a super blue light that really keeps you awake. So that's nice. I just sit there and I'll just play Phoenix Wright in bed. That shit puts me to sleep in no time. Man, I've played through those games. Oh man, I'd say 5 times. But especially the original trilogy. And I'd throw in Apollo Justice in on that. Apollo Justice is a really good game as well. So the first 4 games, so Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations, and Justice for All and Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. Those 4 games are...
Said the latter ones swear a lot more.
Dude, so this remake of the first game, I swear it swears a lot more than I remember. So I'm playing the 3DS remake of the original trilogy. I don't remember them swearing all this much. Like, they say fucking piss and damn and hell. They say that, you know, piss off and hell and damn and that stuff a good bit. And I remember a couple. I don't remember it, you know, quite this much, which, you know, it's whatever. I mean, that's great. You know, it kind of adds to the grittiness of the game, because the game it's an emotional roller coaster. Sometimes it's real lighthearted. You know, it's got a lot of lighthearted characters, but it's got some real serious moments in it as well. I mean, it opens up the game with one of your best, like your boss, your mentor, your best friend, like dying. It's how the first game opens. It's crazy. The guy responsible for Phoenix Wright also made Ghost Detective for the DS. I've never played it. I want to.
I don't think I've heard of that.
I don't know anything about it. I can't really speak on it. I've got the ROM for it on my 3DS, but I'm still on the first Phoenix Wright. It's going to be a while before I play anything else. Once I beat this, I may move on to like Super Metroid on my 3DS, maybe. I keep telling myself that. After Hollow Knight, which has become, God, one of my favorite games ever, I really need to get into another Metroidvania. Whew, hey, oh my God, am I done? Is it done? Is that it?
Did you make it?
Okay, here we go. Emulation Station. Front end used by RetroPie for launching emulators. Okay, so that's what Emulation Station's job is. So it's actually updating Emulation Station now, installing, configuring, running action install theme for ES themes, already on master, your branch is up to date, configuring RetroPie menu, which is the config menu for Emulation Station. Oh man, come on, is this the end? Is this it? I'm not going to get to do anything with it, but yeah, maybe. Yeah, this has been a massive fucking update. It's still running. I'll give an update next episode. It looks like we're whittling down to the end of it, but it is still going. But yeah, anyway, I don't have anything interesting to end this episode with. Are you still playing Eve, or what are you doing?
Oh, I'm just sitting in the station. I brought it back home. I scanned down a couple wormholes, and after I almost went in, and then that guy just warps in and
it finished.
Basically cut me right off. Oh, shit.
Installed packages have been updated. Okay. Let's perform reboot. You sure you want to reboot? Know that if you reboot when Emulation Station is running, you will lose any metadata changes? Yeah, okay. Reach target shutdown. Dude. Welcome to Raspbian. Stretch, RetroPie, booting up, splash screen, looking sexy. Quick plug, GTA 5 is going real well on Linux. I'm playing it as much as I can. I'm in that game again. I just got to Trevor again. Trevor's story starts, he's fucking some chick on his kitchen counter. And when he's done, he walks outside, and there's this biker there who's apparently this chick's boyfriend. He ends up, the guy kind of jumps in Trevor's face, and Trevor's like, "Oh, it's fine, man. Somebody's got to fuck her or whatever." He's like, "Hey, I want to fuck you. Take off your fucking pants. I'm gonna fuck you right here." And, just screaming at the guy, and the guy finally kind of backs down, and he's like, "All right, yeah, you're right, man. I'm sorry I got mad at you, blah blah blah." And Trevor's like, "Man, it's okay. Come in, bring it in for a hug." And then Trevor body slams his ass on the ground and kicks his fucking face in until he dies. So there's the dude dead on the side of the road. And then Trevor's like, "Well, fuck all this. Let's go kill this whole fucking biker gang." So then that's what you do for the rest of the story. Whew. Trevor is insane. I love him. But Jesus Christ, man.
They turned it up to 11 with his storyline.
Yeah, they do, man. Michael's kind of nuts. You can hear his son watching porn in his room sometimes. It's fucking hilarious. Oh my gosh. I was up there changing clothes the other day. Yesterday, I think, or maybe earlier today. I don't remember. And you can hear porn. You can hear sex coming from Michael's kid's room. And you knock on the door, and his kid's like, I forget what he said, but it's basically like, "I'm working. Get the fuck out of here. Go away." And you can hear his daughter talking about fucking a bunch of dudes in her bedroom or whatever.